Hello everyone, we are in the kitchen. It's been ages since we've been in the kitchen. So, I figured since everything that's going on just now, and basically over the last few weeks none of us can get bread or toilet roll or anything like that, I thought, how about we finally turn your sourdough starters into a nice sourdough bread? Something like this. It's dead easy. The only thing about sourdough bread is it takes a bit longer, so you need to be a bit organised. Okay, so we're going to do that together today, so let's get started. Right, okay, sourdough bread. Like I say, it takes a bit longer, and by a bit, my sourdough takes me 2 days to make. Well, that's not including the time for feeding the starter, okay? But just trust me on this, guys. It is so worth it. It is awesome. Just look at this baby. It's gorgeous, right? So basically, here are the stages, right? You've already made your starter, and if you haven't made a sourdough starter, I'm going to shove the link up. You're watching this when it goes there. There? I don't know. Some days I get this and some days I don't. There is going to be a link above to the video I did showing you how to make your very own sourdough starter, okay? It's absolutely not complicated or scary at all, okay? So trust me on this. If you don't have a starter, go and make one and then come back. And you guys who've still got a starter, let's get going just now. So, if like me, your starter is kept in the fridge when you're not using it, this is stage 1. Get it out the fridge, okay? Either get it out in the morning or the evening, whatever it is, but take it out the fridge and then just leave it for a wee bit to come back up to room temperature, okay? And then you need to start feeding it. And what you do is you just feed it, just give it like 30 grams of flour and 30 ml of water and a good stir every day, and it will probably take you about 3 days for it to get up to being strong enough to cook with again, okay? And the way you know is this. Okay, if you put a spoonful of your starter into a glass of water and it floats, it's ready to cook. Okay, that easy. But anyway, so I've got Paul and I've got some bread flour, some water and some salt, and that is it. That is all you need for your gorgeous loaf of bread. And it goes like this. Your starter is ready to cook with. So you need starter in a bowl. And for my recipe, okay, there are lots of recipes online. This is my recipe. I've got lots of different recipes for different breads, but this one is my perfect, easy sourdough recipe. So there's not a lot of kneading, there's not a lot of hassle to this. It's nice and simple, takes a couple of days, job's a good one, okay? So trust me on this. You want 100 mils of your starter. So I've got some scales here. Into a big bowl, okay? As big a bowl as you can get because you're going to do everything in this bowl. Okay, so there's only a tiny little bit left. Don't panic if you've only got scrapings left. Honestly, that's all you need to get that going again. So what I'm going to do, when I'm finished with this one, I will feed this guy again, and then that's him, good to go. So 100 millilitres of starter, and into that, I've got 550 grams of strong flour or bread flour. 10 grams of salt. Doesn't need to be fancy salt, it's just table salt. Sprinkle over the top. And this is the first bit where you get your hands in. All it is to mix that salt through the flour. Okay, so I do not need these scales anymore because I've put the starter in. Okay. This is where it's going to get messy. Be warned, starters are what we call a wet dough, okay, so they're quite sticky. And quite fluid. It's not like your normal bread dough where you're kneading it for ages and it's all bouncy and stuff. Starters are messy. You're just going to have to deal with this, but you don't have to knead them the same way, so it's not the end of the world, so just trust me. So I've got 350 grams or 350 millilitres of warm water, not hot water, just slightly warm water from the tap here. And I'm just going to get the hands in there. And all I'm doing is just kind of bringing that together. Now, like I said, this is really messy, look. Okay, just deal with the mess. Trust me, it is worth it. Right. Okay, now you can see that this is quite sticky. Look, watch this. I'm not pulling that. Look, open hand, but it's just the stickiness. And that is everything out of the bowl. So it's all clean, and I have got one very sticky dough. But here's the fun bit. What you need to do now is we're going to leave this dough sitting in this bowl for an hour. Okay? The reason we do that is it's called autolyse, if I pronounced it properly. But what's happening is that flour and water and salt and the starter are all going to come together properly. And this is really important. Okay, this is the bit that gets all the chemical stuff happening. So we need to leave it to just sit for an hour before we do anything else. So here's a trick. I wish I had thought of this earlier, but I now have to do this with one hand. You could be more prepared than me. You could have your other half helping. But put a glug of oil in your bowl, okay? A good glug. And you're gonna wipe it all up the sides, all over the bottom. Make sure it's all coated. Because that oil is going to stop this completely sticking to the bowl so that you can get it out and work with it after an hour. Okay. And try and get anything off your hands that you can, because that's good stuff. And what we're going to do is clean our hands, and then we're going to cover this bowl either with some, I don't know if you've got a bowl cover, great, or some beeswax cloth, cling film if that's all you've got, a slightly damp tea towel. You're just wanting to put a layer over this to stop any drafts getting to it. Okay, so just covering it, and you're going to leave that for an hour. Okay? Okay, as you can see, it's now dark outside. Taking this off. It's now dark outside because we have given the dough its wee hour to rest. So now, next stage. We're not going to need as such, there's a special technique we're going to do with this, okay, and it's more of a kind of a stretch and fold, and it goes like this. The dough is in there, you can see it's rested, it's still sticky, okay, but it's got the oil from the bowl, so that's why it doesn't look as sticky. But what you can see here, it's all in the bowl, and this is why I said to get a big bowl, okay, because we're going to be working in this bowl. So what we do, stretch into the middle, quarter turn, stretch into the middle, quarter turn, stretch into the middle, and the last turn and the last stretch. Okay, and then I'm going to turn it over in the bowl, and all I'm doing is just shaping it a little bit so it's sitting there, and I'm going to cover that and leave it for 10 minutes, and then repeat this 4 times. Okay, so we have let the dough sit and rest for an hour, and then we've done 4 cycles of stretching and folding the dough in, and then turning and stretching and folding it in, and you do that 4 times, let it rest for another 10 minutes, and then repeat, and we've done that 4 times. So now is the last stage before we actually bake things. What we're going to do now is we're going to shape it, and then we're going to leave it to rest, and this is where the big difference is between normal bread making and sourdough, because we're actually going to leave this probably for about 8 hours. Yep, you heard me right. This is the beautiful thing about sourdough. It takes so long for it to ferment and rise, and that's how you get all the awesome flavours and textures, okay? So it's a wee bit of patience here. I do this, as you can see, is I tend to do this before I go to bed. So I'll leave this to rest tonight, overnight, and then I'll bake it tomorrow morning. And that means I've got bread ready for lunch or dinner or whatever. You can do this before you go to work and go away to work and come back, and it'll be all risen, ready to be baked when you go home from your work, anything like that. You do this on a cycle that suits you. this is what's suiting me for just now. So here's how we shape it. I'm going to move this out the way, and you will have noticed as we've gone on doing this, the dough is much more workable, much more springy now, okay? It's completely changed just because we've let it sit there and rest, and it has completely changed it. Also, what you'll notice is it's still slightly tacky, but it's not sticky, so I can put it on the worktop here and pick it up and it's okay. But that slight tackiness is going to help us to shape it, and here's how. What we're going to do is we're going to create tension on that surface, and that tension is what lets this rise into a nice shape. Instead of, if you've ever baked bread and it's just gone wide rather than high, that's why there's not enough tension. So what we're going to do is hand at the back, and we're going to push the dough towards yourself, and you'll see it kind of sticks at the front a bit and it forms that sort of tension there, okay? And we're then going to turn that around and do the same again. So you can see already it's starting to get into a ball shape. Turn it around and we're just pulling it towards ourselves. It's slightly catching at the front, and that's what's making the tension. Okay, it's a bit of a strange thing to tell you about. It's one of those things that you have to do it, and as you do it you start to get a feel. Okay, so I'm just going to keep doing it, and what I'm doing is I'm just feeling that, and it's going quite tight and nice, and you can see, I'm going to show you this, because it's getting all tight, look at that, there's a little air pocket in there, and because it's being put under tension and tightened, it's actually pushing at that, and that's what's caused that little bubble. Until I've got a nice tight ball of dough, and this is another way you can do it. You can actually do it on your hand like that. Again, these are things that as you work with bread, you kind of learn these things, you just get a feel for it, and there is no substitute for just working with your hands and learning this stuff. I'm sorry there isn't. It's just one day it will just work and you'll be like, is that it? Okay, now this bit is where I get to show off some of my fancy bits and pieces. This is called a banneton, okay? It's basically a bowl that's made out of cane, okay? And what it does is my dough will rise in here and it just gives it a really pretty pattern on top. That's all it does. I'm just being totally pretentious here, okay? You do not need that. You can basically put this in any bowl to rise, but you can see the bowl that I was using there is really, really big. You don't want that. You want something that's a similar width to this, but maybe a bit deeper so it can rise into that shape, okay? We're putting it in the bowl to rise with roughly that shape. So that's what you're looking for. It's not the end of the world if you don't have one. You can put it in any bowl, the bowl you were working on, it's fine. It means you just might have to do this gently a wee bit after the rest. Right, so that's now nice and tight. I'm going to put it in this bowl, which I have heavily floured. If you're using a normal bowl, what I found is good to do is do the oil trick again so that it doesn't stick. But then what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually put it in upside down so that bottom end that I've been working is on top, okay? And then again, same as before, we want to make sure we cover this. And again, I'm just being pretentious. I've got a fancy cloth to cover mine. Okay, and we leave that now. Leave it for 8 hours. Don't peek at it, don't touch it, be patient. Patience is the key, and trust me, it will pay off. So I'm going to leave that, not anywhere hot, but just a warm room, your usual living room or whatever, in a warm, pleasant temperature room. Leave it there for 8 hours, and then we'll come back. So, I will see you in 8 hours. It's time. It is morning again. So the bread has been sitting overnight, covered, just doing its thing. So we're going to have a look at that in a sec. But first, what I've done, oven is on, so it's preheated, okay, and it's 230 for the oven, centigrade. If you do Fahrenheit, you'll have to do the conversions, but it's 230 centigrade for me in here. And this is my secret weapon. I think some of you guys call this a Dutch oven or a casserole pot, or basically it is a big old heavy-assed pot with a lid, okay? Now, you don't need this, but this is my secret weapon. I have found that I get the best sourdough bread if I cook it in this, okay? And what I do, 230 oven, bread goes in here, lid on, and I cook it for about 25 minutes with the lid on, and then 30 minutes with the lid off, okay? Best bread ever. If you don't have one of these, you can cook it on a tray in the oven for about 40-45 minutes at 220 centigrade. Okay, so you don't need one of these, but it's my secret weapon. What I do is I put a bit of baking paper or greaseproof paper in the bottom so that the dough doesn't stick, and then that also makes my life easier for getting the dough out again afterwards. So here goes. Here's the big bit you're waiting on. The bread. Let's look and see. So last night we shaped all of this, formed it into a ball, put it in the bowl, and basically left it to rest and rise and prove and do its thing overnight. And what that means is, I'm quite paranoid about air and stuff getting in, so I do a few different covers. Oh, look at that. Look at that. So, it's never easy to do the turnout bit, but we'll give it a try. You ready? Smug face. Okay, next bit then. You need one very, 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 very sharp pointy knife. Basically, just get your sharpest knife. And what we're going to do is we're going to cut lines on the top of this. And the reason we do that is because all the tension that's in there, when this starts to rise, it will split the skin. Okay, so we put these lines in deliberately in places to act as fault lines, if you like. So when it splits, it will be there that it splits, and we're doing it deliberately in certain places to keep it neat. So all I'm going to do is do a basic cross on top, okay? So I go not quite from the centre to the edge. And that's it. Okay? And it will make a pretty pattern on top. This now gets put in my Dutch oven, or you put it in your baking tray. And now that's going in the oven, okay? 230 centigrade, 25 minutes with the lid on, 30 minutes with the lid off, and you will have a beautiful sourdough bread. Here goes. Are we ready? Let's put out some cooling racks. You do realise the pressure I'm under here. If this is absolutely awful, you guys are going to see it on video. Glasses have steamed up. Smells amazing. Oh, I wish I could just waft this for you guys to smell, because it's quite hot and the paper goes quite brittle. One beautiful homemade sourdough loaf. Smells amazing. Leave it to cool, and then I recommend a big thick slice with loads of butter on it. Oh, it is the best. But what you'll find with the sourdough is this crust is just that little bit chewier than a normal bread crust. It's just perfect. Oh, excellent, right? Go for it, guys. Give it a go, and I want to see your sourdough breads and how you get on, okay? So hashtag them on Instagram or on Twitter, Eli's sourdough bread, okay? and I want to see your photos. Good luck. See you.